After work, Alice headed home to Acorn Hill and Grace Chapel Inn. Shutting off the car engine, she climbed out of her car and walked up the porch to their Victorian bed and breakfast. Once inside, Alice was greeted with quiet. "Hello?" she called out. Silence. She spotted Wendell, their gray and black tabby, basking in a patch of sunlight. Alice had always thought Wendell's white paws gave him the appearance of wearing boots. He gave her a weary look, moved ever so slightly, and tucked his face beneath a furry paw. "Well, it's good to see you too," Alice said with a smile. She reached down to give the pet a loving scratch or two behind his right ear, causing him to tilt his head and purr. The sound reminded her of her late father's contented snoring when he had taken naps in his easy chair. With a sigh, Alice slipped off her brown sweater and draped it across her arm before making her way into the warm and delicious-smelling kitchen. She took a seat at the table and watched Jane, her younger sister, remove a batch of cookies from the oven. Alice rubbed the back of her neck, thankful for the chance to sit down. Jane appeared comfortable in her khaki pants and bright red cotton shirt. Her long dark hair was pulled back in its usual ponytail and swished about as she put a pan on a cooling rack. She looked much younger than her 50 years. Alice smiled as she watched Jane do what she loved most, work in the kitchen. Jane shrugged free from her silver baking mitts, blew a stray lock of hair from her eyes, and turned to Alice with a smile. "When did you get in?" "Just got here," Alice replied. The room was filled with the spicy scents of pumpkin and cinnamon. She lifted her nose slightly heavenward. Smells good," she said. Jane smiled. "Pumpkin bars. As soon as they cool a little, I'll spread on the cream cheese icing and we'll have one. Be sure not to let it spoil your dinner, though." "Let me wash my hands first. I always feel better washing my hands again when I get home. Don't want to pass around germs, you know," Alice said, making her way to the sink. "Spoken like a true medical professional," Alice shrugged. "I try to do my part." Jane clicked off the oven knob and looked at Alice. "Must be getting cold outside. Your cheeks are rosy." Alice dried her hands with a paper towel, then absently ran her fingers over her face. Her skin was cold. "There is a definite autumn chill to the air. I'm not complaining, though. I love this time of year." Jane smiled and stepped toward the stove, lifting the tea kettle. "Just the same, a good cup of tea will warm you." Alice nodded, thinking how her sister perked up the weariest of days with her cheerful hospitality. She walked back to her chair and sat down. Jane filled the kettle at the tap and placed it on the stainless steel stove. "You're having a party and forgot to invite me?" Louise Howard Smith teased, her blue eyes twinkling as she entered the kitchen. Wire-rimmed glasses dangled on a chain around her neck and mingled with the pearl necklace against her blue sweater. She maneuvered a chair her way and settled into it. Looking on as Louise smoothed the wrinkles from her blue wool skirt, Alice thought how she loved times like this, chatting around the table with her sisters over something good to eat.